afternoon. What's going on? Man, we are back. We are back again. I told y'all, we're not stopping. Come over with Buxben. We're going to continue on, and we're going to bring you more people, more entrepreneurs, more people that's doing different things to help the community, small businesses, pastors, leaders, people that help you with your money, all types of things. And today, we have another entrepreneur. Man, she's got so much going on right now. She has a clothing line called Not a Statistic. That's booming right now in business. Go check that out. The information will be later on in the video. She also has a podcast that she just started this month, Not a Statistic TV. She's had 2 great interviews so far. If you, please go out there and check out those interviews. Great interviews by, what was the names of the young man and the young lady?
Yeah, Coach Robert Cager, as well as Tiffany Griffin.
Man, I witnessed both of those interviews. Great interviews, great questions, a lot of nuggets that you can pick up from both videos. But today, she's not on that side of the camera. She's as the interviewer. Today, she's the interviewee on Come Home with Buxben. And today, we want to introduce to some and reintroduce to many Chanell Rains. How you doing, Chanell?
I'm well. Thank you for having me on your platform.
No problem. Man, we just, like I said, I wanted to sit down with people that's doing different things in the community, being able to inspire people. You know, it's a lot of people in their like 19s and teenage years and 20 and even in 30s and 40s that, you know, at this time with, you know, this whole pandemic thing going on, some of them just popping up businesses,
right,
and trying to get something going, and some are afraid to. So, because I know that you're one of those people that, you know, this is not really just a pop-up. We've talked about this for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. 3 years, and I don't even know before then how long you had this in mind. Mm-hmm. I remember times where, you know, you had different little clothings that you'll put your spin to it just to be like, okay, this is possibly something that I could do. You always were a person that I could say had their own style. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You didn't really follow the crowd in, you know, style or different things that you chose to wear.
Right.
You always put your own spin on it. You know what I mean? It was always if you saw something, you'd be like, okay, if I did this, if I did that with it, it'll look good.
Right.
On me, I remember that was your thing, was you wore clothes to look good on you. Mm-hmm. And then even going further, when you wanted to talk about Not a Statistic as a clothing line, you were like, man, I could see this for young ladies,
right,
and different things like that. And I'm sure that going forward, you'll have things for young men also. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because the shirt that you have on right now is what is it called? Dripped in Black?
Yeah, Dripped in Black.
Dripped in Black, which is a nice shirt, nice style. Mm-hmm. And also you have the white one.
Yes.
And that one's called?
Official Signature.
Official Signature, see? Mm-hmm. So I just, you know, wanted to, before we started, give you your flowers on that and how I remember when this was a conversation.
Right.
And then now it's manifested into a whole clothing line.
Right, exactly.
That's doing very successful.
Yeah.
But, you know, we wanted to start from the beginning.
Okay.
From the jump. Chanell Rains. Mm-hmm. What's your background? What's your backstory? What's your backstory of you?
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So my backstory is currently 25. I grew up in a house full of women. My family, women. My mom, I'm the only child on my mother's side, and I am the second oldest on my father's side. My father has, biologically, he has 6 children, but he only have the other one that's in the system, and the other 5, you know, by different mothers as well. I had a rough time growing up. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was just, I grew up, and my mother grew up in Inglewood, in a house full of my mom's has number sisters, and it was all their children, all their girls. They had girls, and it was like I want to say 7 or 8 of us in it was 3-bedroom home that my grandparents built actually. So this house has been over 50, 60 years. So then me and my mom ventured off and moved to the east side, and it was just me and her. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was kind of rough. I went to Amos Alonso Stag in Inglewood, and then me and my mom moved when I was in 6th grade. We moved up to the east side of the Chatham area, and where I went to Dixon Academy. Graduated there, and then I went over to Carver Military Academy. And even from that point, it was just kind of like very interesting because I had to, get into order and different things of that nature. And what really hit a soft spot with me was when all my friends, when I was in high school, were getting cars and, getting the Jordans and stuff like that. And, my mom had a decent paying job, to us, making $40,000, $50,000 was okay money, you getting by, right? So I knew my mother couldn't afford all the latest things that I wanted because my friends had it. Growing up, when I was in grammar school, I got bullied. Me being the tallest girl in both schools. I was the tallest girl in the school, as well as I was dark skinned, as well as my gap. It was different things that I had to deal with. So when I went to high school, I got around the cool kids, and I wanted to do what they did. I wanted to have what they have, right? So then I was the tallest, so people said you should do football, you should play basketball. So when I was in grammar school, I did run track. So I was like, okay, I might as well, do, because that's what everybody wanted me to do. So I decided to go into basketball. Oh boy. Then I said, okay, I'm 16. Went to 16, started, doing basketball, and then I said I wanted to get my own job because I wanted to get the Jordans. I wanted to have the Converses. I wanted to have all the shoes that everybody else had that my mother honestly could not afford. Then 3 months later, I got my first job at White Castle, August 2011. 3 months later, my mom actually went on medical leave to the point where they actually terminated her. So they got to a point where my mama making $30,000 to $50,000 a year. We kind of living our quote unquote best life, but we still struggling to the public. We still kind of struggling to the point where I had to be not only a full-time high schooler, but I had to be a full-time worker. So I had to be I became the sole provider at 16, 2011, to where my mother didn't have anything to show for it. She couldn't go into her 401k plan. She couldn't go into her pension, anything that she had invested 11 years at that time with the company because of a medical leave. My mother was diagnosed with diabetes in 2000, but it didn't trickle down until 2011. And I didn't take it serious at first. I was like, okay, whatever, until the eviction notice came. And my mother and I were so private where we didn't want my aunties and we didn't want family members to know that, hey, we got eviction notice. And, my mother was saying that she paid up rent, and, then I see an eviction notice coming from school. I had to literally, I was at the point of dropping out of high school, where I didn't know where we was going to, live because pride stepped in and, didn't want people to be in our quote unquote business that possibly help us, that, can possibly break up me and my mother's relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So I did have a teacher who literally kind of knew, kind of like my backstory and different things of that nature, and she encouraged me to stay in school. And it's crazy because I had to find that in other people because my mother was we gotta work this through. My mother didn't get another job. She really didn't get another job until, honestly, when I was about to graduate. I graduated high school. So just imagine someone, 16-year-old, right? Who wants the latest Jordans, who wants all these things. I got a job to really please my friends to the point where this came right on time because I needed to pay the bills in the house. So that, just imagine what a 16-year-old was going through, right? I had to quit, obviously playing basketball, right? At that time we was in condition, so it wasn't like we was going into the full season yet. But it was very, embarrassing, right? Because I was falling asleep in class and stuff like that. So I was always kind of like an average student. To a point where I was failing all my classes, right? And it literally had to be a miracle happen because I grew up having a learning disability. So I didn't comprehend a lot of things. So it took me longer to understand certain things. So I really was like mentally not there because I was put in full-time hours at a whole job to make sure that we had a roof over our head, we had food on the table because we couldn't get food stamps, right? Because my mom income was, so big, and it took a longer process for them to, calculate all that. So it definitely was frustrating. Then my mother started to get better. She ended up getting a job at the nearby pharmacy center. So that was under the table at that time, and she was making, weekly she was bringing home like $150. That really wasn't, that was bringing food in the house, but I still had to write CASA, right, and be a high schooler. So then, like I said, my mother saved up her checks and made sure I had the prom of my dreams. But after that, it was like, okay, I want to go to college. So I went into this place, a big part of my story, because I went to a HBCU college tour. Now, this was always my dream. I wanted to go to HBCU because I wanted to be around other, people that look like me, think like me, who's trying to go somewhere like me. So I wanted to go to HBCU. It was the college tour for 5 days. I went with Trinity, the church. And at that time, my mother actually ended up returning back to work, and somebody stepped on her toe and her big toe came off. Literally got an infection, and she also fell. So I had to literally have emergency leave to come, leave from where we were. We was at that time, we was at Washington, D.C. at Howard University. And I had to leave because my mother needed me. So I had to make a decision. At that time, I had got accepted to 4 schools. Now, remind you, I told you in the beginning, it's like I literally had a learning disability. I never really wasn't the AB Dean student, honor roll student, right? But it literally was a miracle because I knew God was going to grant me that everything I needed and I wanted was to go to HBCU. So I got accepted to 4 schools. Then had to go back home. So I then got accepted to another school, Governor State University, University Park, Illinois. And I said at that time they was just coming out with dorms because it was a post-secondary school. So then my mother was like, Shay, I'm sorry, that's my nickname, Shay, I'm sorry, but I'm literally gonna have to go back onto medical leave. Oh my God. So think about it. My mom is not married. It's just me and my mother. Imagine, me and my mom is so private. So a lot of things I was on, family didn't know a lot of things that was going on. So I had to make a crucial decision to say, you know what, either I stay home with my mother or I go to college. I got accepted to a school that's nearby that I can still have the college experience, stuff like that. I didn't want to go there at that time, but I had to make a choice that I still want my education. I know God still have a future for me. I can make this work. So what I did was, like I said, my mom gave me the dream prom, but couldn't allow me to go to my dream school. So I ended up graduating in a high rank because I was in elementary school. So that was a blessing. That opened up so many doors, even going into college. So I went into college in 2014, and I was so excited because I'm away from home in a way, right? I'm like 35 minutes from the city. So I still got that college tour. I still got that college experience into where I started to trust people, my roommates, and it was like a big slap in the face. I literally was bullied all over again. So it was like a reminder of grammar school, right? The people who I confided in, the people that I said was my friends, ended up turning their back on me and literally using that very thing that I struggled with against me, right? So I confided in these young ladies very quickly, and it turned into the Bad Girls Club. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Bad Girls Club, but they literally wrote hatred notes on the refrigerator. They stole my things. They literally would beat pots and pans until I wake up and do what they told me to do and wanted me to do. One time they literally threw water on me and ran out the house. It was really a very I just wanted to give up at that point. I wanted to say, you know, forget the school stuff, forget all of this. And I was like, whew. And it just took me back to a place where I said I was never going to go back anymore, right? So I feel like God brought me an angel, which is a good friend of mine now, Drea. She literally said, you come into my room. So she's like, don't give up on school. And when I realized, even when I wanted to give up so many times, God always had brought his angels, whether it was 1, 2, 3, and tell me not to give up and remind me what I shouldn't do, even when I wanted to make a decision off of my emotions.
Okay. Well, let's kind of back up, because you gave us a lot there, and you know the story is great because it shows determination. It shows a sense to, you know, not be selfish when at a time where you kind of said you wanted to be selfish. You wanted to have the things that everybody else was having, the Jordans and the clothes and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? And that's a great side of you. You know what I mean? That's a great side of you to notice at even a young age, you know what? This is what's important. Priority, I want to say.
Right.
You understood priority at a young age. Like, forget what's going on with what I want as a kid.
Right.
I need to elevate and get on game plan with my mom to make sure we have our things in order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though we don't have as much, but we have some type of order so that we can be able to take care of each other. You know, and you know, I'm sure there was a lot of, you know, struggles in between that.
Right.
Too, you know, of course, growing pains, of course, times where, you know, like, man, can I do it? But to just see that stayed the path, stayed going. And also even to have a chance to go to different colleges and things like that, but priority, what makes sense. It's real. It shows how credible you are to you know, not think of just yourself, but you know, think of your mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And things like that. Now, support. You know, different support systems that you had. You spoke about Drea, you know, which is one of your best friends, and you have your mother too. Is there anybody else, like, you know, that was kind of a support system in those times before you know, going off into your own ventures, but just like you could see a core support system that you had?
Honestly, I didn't have it. I did not have it. It was people that God would bring sporadically, like I'm at the grocery store, that would literally sow into my life. And I'm not just saying, you know, money wise, but even just said encouraging word, gave me a scripture, pray with me, stuff like that. Some people I stayed in contact with, some people were just like literally an angel that I needed right then at that moment. But I'm gonna be honest with you, like didn't have a really great relationship with my father. But I will say though, my mom was my biggest support system from the very beginning. Even when we clashed, even when, you know, I didn't think that she should have did this, I thought she should have did that as a mother. I could honestly say all my graduations, right? And I know that's kind of cliche. Of course, your mom's supposed to be there, but it was the drive and the determination that she installed into me and that she provided for me to know that despite no one else being there, I'm going to be there and the Lord's going to be there with you. So. Okay.
And that's awesome. That's awesome that y'all have that, you know, that real tight relationship, you know what I mean, together.
Yeah.
Now, let's go into the college years. Now, what did you go to college for?
Okay, I originally went into college for chemistry.
Okay.
And then I changed again, and then I went into forensic psychology with a minor in criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went into college, at that time I went with a mindset. I was interested in psychology as well as I was interested in like the kind of the jurisdiction side of it. You know, being people incarcerated and bringing them resources as well as their families as well. So I also chemistry, then I went to social work, and then I went to forensic psychology and a minor in criminal justice, and that's my major now.
Okay, and that's awesome. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of us that we tend to go to college and we don't know what we want to do. A lot of us just go to college because my parents told me,
right,
that's just the next step after high school, is go to college, and we don't know exactly what we want to do, but sometimes while you're there, you'll end up like, oh man, I want to really get into this.
Yeah.
Get into that. Now, not a statistic. Your brainchild, your baby.
My heart.
Your heart. What birthed that? Where did that come from? Not a statistic, because it's said. People have said, I'm not a statistic. It's been in many rap songs. Been in many, inspirational, big motivational speakers say though that phrase has been used so much, but you cornered it and made it your own. Where did that come from?
I'm called spiritually because I'm a spiritual woman. It came, I remember in 2017, it came into a dream. To say that, and then I'm gonna tell you the whole purpose of the brand. It came into a dream, and it came as N.A.S, and it just came like that. And I was like, Lord, okay, Nas is fine. But at the time, I was in a relationship, so I didn't get more into that. So then it came again a few days later, and it brought N.A.S, and then Nas Statistic. And even all my life, I look back and I realized that not only was I not a statistic, God was showing me how different I was. And when I would read articles, when I would read different things on social media or even the news, that I realized that I am not who they says I am. I am totally different. I know is move down the street who look like me, who even maybe talk like me, even walk like me, but her background is not like mine. Her future is not like mine. Doesn't mean that she doesn't have a story. Doesn't mean that she doesn't have a journey. Doesn't mean that she doesn't have a great future ahead of her. But she's not me. Even though we came from the same school, we know the same people, but we are totally different, right? So at that time, I literally just thought the name was like freaking phenomenal, and I brought it to my boyfriend at the time, and I told him like, hey, I think this is very interesting. I never forget, it was I think a Saturday night at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I brought it. He had to sketch it. He said it was gonna be the Pan-African flag colors, which is the black, red, and green. And I was just like, oh, that's gonna be so powerful. And at that time we was doing network marketing, so we put it out to the side. Then God brought it back to me. And at that time, what my frame was, it wasn't that deep that it was now. It was just like, oh, this is dope. I think this would be a great shirt, great hoodie. Okay, cool. It wasn't that much passion behind it, right? But even over the 3 years, fast forward to this year, I was fasting, praying, and I was very strategic when I fast. And I said, God, I want to know my purpose. I want to know what's my calling, what's my gifts, who I should connect with, who I shouldn't connect with, and what should I be doing right now? Like, what should I be doing? And literally, he brought that back, not a statistic. And I was like, can I be honest with y'all? Like, I forgot about it. I honestly forgot about the vision that God had given me at that time. So I kind of went into it. I started reading books. I started, it's a book called, don't quote me, it's like Statistics of African Americans or something of that nature. And it's a couple more books that I can't think of at this moment. And I started reading more of what society thinks as of the black culture. So it's not just a black woman focus, not just a black man focus, but it's as a black community as a whole, and as well as a millennial in this day and age, and even as a Generation Z, because I kind of follow that closely. How a lot of time, they put us in a box, and they look at 50% of this or 10% of this, right? And I'm gonna say my statistics. They say 8 out of 10 children whose parents are addicts will be an addict. So they're trying to say that my father was a drug addict. My mother had a gambling issue. So they just knew that I was going to be in that statistic of a person who's going to have literally addiction, right? And I will honestly say I don't smoke or drink or even have a desire to gamble, but it just shows you that despite of who my family is, right, the generational curses, right, and they stamp us with our generational curses too. And also how they say that, millennials are this, millennials are that, and they have very negative stigmas and statistics about us, and we are not all of that, right? We are not that. And it was statistics that I would see, and I'd be like, that's not who I am. They would say that, I seen one recently that said 32% of black men and women don't graduate college. I'm not gonna be that. Even though it have taken me a longer journey, I'm gonna continue to press forward. If I gotta stop for a minute and go back, gotta stop for a minute, which I have, but doesn't mean that I'm not gonna get to that very end goal that I have set for myself. But now, who we speak to the millennials. Now the Statistic apparel speaks to the millennials and Gen Zs, right? We give them hope with our signature logo to let them know, despite of their past or current circumstances, they can accomplish that very goal that they have set for themselves.
Yeah, that's what's up. And it's just, when you look at your story, you basically live that statement, not be a statistic, even though the challenges that went on with your parents, the challenges that went on with, you as a young woman, different things that, you could have gotten into or did get into, and by God's grace, you got out of.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You never let it hold you down and make you into anything the world says that you should be.
Yes.
And that's a great thing. Now, so even in that, where it came from, now, like you said, it's not something that just appeared out of nowhere. It was birthed out of a life that you led. Now, coming into business, what did that look like when pushing forth and bringing it out to the world now, birthing it basically?
Whew, that was the hardest thing ever. Just to briefly go back, when I was in 4th grade, I read in my journal that I will be an entrepreneur by the time I'm 25. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But a fast forward to now, so like I said, got the vision, the original vision, 2017, put out to the side. April 2020, God brought it back to me. So just imagine from April of 2020 to September, it took me that long to get out of my own head. It took me that long to say, you know what, this is a God's plan, and if it's God's will, it's God's bill. I looked at my bank account thousands of times. I looked at my capability thousands of times. I looked at the things that I have tried to accomplish, didn't accomplish, and I learned a lesson from. I compared myself. I looked to the left and I looked to the left and right of me and said, you know what, I don't look like that person. I don't dress like that person. I don't sound like that person. I don't do these things like that person. And it literally, like I tell people, fear had me at a chokehold, because it was a lot of times when I launched out and I had the faith and I did things and it pretty much failed. But I had to realize that it wasn't the will of God for me. So what I did was I invested in myself. I invested in a therapist. I invested in a life coach. And I invested in people who not only look like me, but who have the knowledge that I desire. And how can I birth this out? Because this is something phenomenal, right? Because I knew if I didn't launch it out, somebody else would, because this had to be done at the end of the day. So I started to look at all of that, and it was a lot of things that really had me at a place where, I felt as though I was inadequate. I didn't know everything, and I'm perfectionist. People say perfectionist. I thought I was a perfectionist. It's just saying that I was a punk and I was scared and I had fear and, you know, I was just didn't really believe in me. I'm gonna be honest with you. And if I didn't believe in me, I didn't believe in God. So even if God had promised me this very thing, where it was going to go and how it was going to be, I still didn't believe it. So I had a lunch day and said, you know what, nah, I don't have the money. I had a lunch day and, you know what, I'm not ready. I had a lunch day, people may not buy from me. I had a lunch day, but they've been talking about me. I had a lunch day and I said, you know what, I'm going to wait it out because I need to have this in order. So when I got out of my own head and I said, I'm never going to technically be ready, but it's time for me to start preparing my mind to get ready for whatever it is that God has in store for me in this brand.
Definitely. And that's what's up. Now, when I think about it, you know, now Statistic and, you know, the different challenges and things like that you went through. I don't know, it's kind of, I go back to the relationships because I think about, you know, in this, your father, you know what I mean? He had a lot of challenges.
Right.
And different things in that nature. And, you know, kind of like in that same vein of hustler, get to the money, it kind of brought that out of you too.
Right,
you know
absolutely.
I mean? And I just want to kind of like go into the, you know, we know growing up the relationship wasn't that good, but what is it now? You know what I mean? Even in his ventures that he got going on now, like how is that now between you?
Between me and my father? Yeah. Our relationship is still rocky.
Yeah.
But me and my dad, I've always been off and on relationship because he's the perfect, hallelujah. But I will say though, my daddy is really not a statistic. My sister is not a statistic, but I'm in specific focus on my father. Briefly, his story is drug addict, went to jail for attempted murder, different things of that nature. Was in jail from 19 till he was 30, I want to say 32, 35, around that age. Was strung out on drugs, womanizer at that time, just different things of that nature, and just had a rough patch, right? Was homeless and had failed marriages and stuff like that. And even now, just to go to his story now, my dad has been clean about 15 years now, as well as he has a business. He's an independent contractor, and he's very successful in this business. He literally, he told me his story, and he said that my dad, when he started to get his life in order, he was selling merchandise. So he was that man that was at the nail shop sisters, and he was at the beauty shops, and he was like Jody. Right, he's like Jody, right? He's like Jody. He's like at these bag sister queen. He was that one, and he did that Sunday through Saturday, and he did that all day. Literally, he got up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and just worked on his craft, and he did what he could. He went to the west side of Chicago and went to his literally walking place and just used his gift. He had a gift of God, but he knew how to speak to the soul. He knew how to speak to that woman and make her feel like, you know what, even if you feel like you didn't have it, but you need this bag. And eventually them women saved up their monies and get that bag from my father. And he said in his dream, he had a dream as well, and he said that God showed him having a cane when he was like 67 years old, still carrying purses. And he said that was his fear. He did not want to be selling purses to a point where he was ill and he had to be out there selling merch. So he made a decision, and he seen himself painting. So he got up one day and he told his wife, his beautiful wife, who he's happily married to and been married to now for 5 years. Regina, who I love so dearly, and he said, baby, I'm gonna go painting. I'm gonna do painting. And they took all their savings and stuff and they invested into painting. It was a good client of his who would buy merchandise from him. Everything he sold, she bought it from him. And she was a very successful businesswoman. He told her, the things that he had wanted to do. She was like, it's funny you said that, I need a painter. And he was like, she was like, I ain't gonna give you a whole lot of money, but I'm gonna see what you got. This was his first painting job. And he was like, meet me. She's like, meet me at this place at this date. And he went, and he was determined. He was the first one up. And she was like, okay, paint and do this and do that and open this safe and open that. And he didn't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to do anything that she said. He just knew that what the vision God had gave him, and he knew that I'm gonna start with whatever I have. Mm-hmm. So he went, and he told him, like, I don't know that. And she was like, she laughed and she said, you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance because you're a black man that's trying to do it, trying to make it. And he started from there, and it went from, word of mouth. He did a great job. He took maybe, I think, a week or two to do that project, and then she had him another project, and then that opens literally abundance of, business for him. And he literally now is an independent contractor. So he have everything that you need. He got the electrician, he has the plumber, anybody that you need. And now he's at a point where he has workers, and one thing I love about my father is he know how to get it. He know what it is to be a black man and be out in the streets and do things that he necessarily shouldn't do, but that's how he was able to feed himself. So he go back into the streets, and people that maybe strung out on drugs or, at a point where they're trying to make a change and they're going to rehab, but they need work, but they are gifted with their hands and they are very anointed. And he literally speaks to that man and say, if you want a job, I'm going to give it to you. So he provides the opportunities, and he had literally put thousands of dollars in, not only into the community, but also he have literally given to the brother on the street that you may be seeing trying to, ask for a couple of change to pump your gas. Mm-hmm. So I love that he does that, and it allows him to step back because he's getting older, and he get the older guys out there, work and make a living for themselves. So that's what I love about him.
And so it's just great how when you look at everybody around you, your mother and fathers, they're basically not being a statistic also.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's why I wanted to, talk about your mom and talk about your dad, because the things that they had going on also, they decided to not ever be a statistic at the time. It's like, no matter what, we're going to move forward. The things that, the challenges that he went through, the challenges that she went through, they both imparted that in you and created this. Wow. So now, because we're getting so much good information right now, I want to ask, would you be challenged to come on again to share the rest of your story?
Absolutely.
Good. Because I like when I have good conversations like this with people, I want them to really give the people some things that they can hold their heads on and be like, okay, you know what? That story that she just gave is my story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something that she went through is something that I'm going through right now. And okay, I see. So the next thing we want to go into, not a Statistic TV. Now, once again, you've birthed this out of so much. You've birthed Not a Statistic apparel out of, just a brainchild. You're sitting there looking at your situations and wow, boom, Not a Statistic.
Right.
But that's on top of it. Now you're opening up a corner to a platform now that we can find some more people that are not a statistic, that are not, that are not sitting in the things that's going on in their lives, but they're using it to move forward.
That's it.
Not a Statistic TV. Where did that come from?
Whoo! So, Not a Statistic came from, like I said, as I was fasting and praying and stuff like that, and just kind of get insight what I was supposed to do. I knew that the brand came along, right? Mm-hmm. So I literally will meet people like in the streets and stuff like that, and just kind of dialoguing and just trying to see what people was at mentally. And I would meet people, and I'd be like, I meet an 18-year-old who close to being $1 million, a millionaire, or and financial services and I would meet people and I'd be like, but bro, you ain't even have your parents in your life. But bro, like, you used to sell drugs, but bro, this, or I meet a person, a bucket man on 87th Street, and I get excited and I talk to her, and they was telling me they go for aspiration, and they just trying to really, like, put food on their table, or, they got a child in the way, or whatever the case may be. I'll be like, oh my God. And people that have really rough, ugly stories that, maybe haven't been shared or maybe have been shared, but haven't really got deep into their real deep story. And like, how you not statistic? And how they use that very thing, they turn their pain into power. Mm-hmm. And that's what narcissistic about. It's people that I bring on the platform who look just like me, sound like me, or maybe it's just different, but different journeys. But they know how important it is to like really not be who that society says that we are, right? Because they may look like the statistic, but they're not the statistic. And I wanted to have a platform, people that already have a platform, with people who don't, but they have such great stories, and they use that very thing that could have kept them bound and stagnant and keep them in the same cycle of the generation curves that they're really designed and anointed to break. So put on platform like, let me share your story. Let me highlight your story because you're doing some great things and you didn't let that very thing that could have, kept you in that same place that you grew up in to keep you from striving and accomplish your goals.
That's perfect. Man, Chanell, I want to thank you for coming home with Buxben. We appreciate you. We back you 100%. You know what I mean? We just like we said, we wanted to bring people out here and give people inspiration. That's all this platform is for. Giving people inspiration that we can do it. You can do it too.
Absolutely.
I'm no bigger than you are. I'm just a person with come on with Buxben, and the different things that we venture in comes from a song that J. Cole did, which is called $1 in a Dream.
Wow.
Now, each person that I talk to is just that. That's what not a statistic is. That's what different things that people you've talked to is about. All they had was $1 in a dream, and you just moved on that dollar and got to the dream.
That's it.
I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to give the people, your social media, your website, everything? Just give the people that.
Absolutely. I just want to give this encouraging word that start today. Whatever that is, you would never technically be ready. If God gave you the go, then go. Despite of people not supporting you, despite of people not backing you up, God is going to bring people in your life that's going to push you into your destiny. Is going to push you to have everything that God has designed for you to accomplish. But because you still have breath in your body, you still have purpose. You might look to the left and the right of you, and you may not see people who have ever done what God has told for you to do. But there's no blueprint for what He already given you. He gave it to you. So He knows it to you, and He have grace for that very thing that He had given you to do. Whether it's a business, whether it's a career, whatever is going back to school, whatever even going to school. I want you to literally. That was something that God spoke to me today about was what pleases God is you having that mustard seed type of faith. You have to have the faith even when you don't see in your bank account, even when you don't see the people that's backing you up. Even sometimes you don't even feel it for yourself. I encourage you to go after that very thing because I'm serious, despite of your past or current circumstances, you can do that very thing that God has graced you and anointed you for. Go after it today. Also, my social media handles, my personal page is I am Chanell, which is I am Chanell with 2 underscores after it. And our business page, our Instagram business page is Not a Statistic Brand, straight. No spaces in between. Our Facebook business page is Not a Statistic Apparel. Like, comment, we post all day on there as well. My personal Facebook is Chanell E. Raines, which is Chanell. My middle initial is E, and Raines Raines. And also, get your merch. This is Dripped in Black, and then we have another official signature, which is in white. Also, we having our fall collection that's dropping in October, guys. So our website, is www.notastatistic, which is NOTASTATISTIC.store, not .com. www.notastatistic.store. You can our stories on there. Everything that you need to know about us is on there. Also, we on TikTok, y'all. It's Not Statistic apparel. So follow us there as well and keep in contact with us. You can subscribe to our email list, which is on our website. You can put your email in and stay in tune with everything that we're doing. We're coming up with, we have some very, very successful, some of y'all favorite business owners is going to be on our platform on Not Statistic TV that airs every Monday night at 7:30 Central Standard Time. I'm telling you, it's going to be bananas. These last 2 interviews has been so blessing. Like, we cry on this platform. We just share us. We just share who we are on this platform. But it's not about not statistics. It's about the people who are not a statistic, who's going to be highlighted and want to share their very story. So join us every Monday night at 7:30 on our Facebook and as well as our YouTube channel, which is Not Statistic TV. So it's coming soon. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you all on our platform. So take care.
All right. Thank you, y'all, for watching again. Come home, Buxben.